All right, this brings us to our third condition that I'd like to look at, and that is firefighter arson. You'll sometimes hear this referred to as fireman arson, or the term I like is arsonist fireman. Both firefighter arson and fireman arson describe the condition and the act, while the arsonist fireman term describes the individual that's committing the act. Arsonist fireman is a variation of hero syndrome, and I've actually written on this one before, but the gist of all this is that people get rewarded for fixing things that they broke. In IT, in the heat of a production outage, it can seem great just to get a thing resolved and have the customers quit griping, get income coming back in, etc. Whoever makes things work again is great. That is true, but what about those times when the person that fixes it is the same person that causes the problem? That does happen. They haven't really acted in a heroic way. They have just sort of gotten themselves back to zero.
In other words, they are just where they should have been all along. Not some mighty slayer of technical dragons, just somebody that screwed up, boinked the team and the company, then fixed the thing they shouldn't have broken in the first place.
Unlike real firefighter arson, the fires that are created are usually not overtly intentional, meaning someone doesn't set out to cause a problem just to get rewarded, but they are indirectionally intentional, almost always because A, a bad practice wasn't resolved, and B, the person fixing the problem should have ensured that guards were in place. Ultimately, we create the arsonist firemen, or at least encourage the behavior by patting them on the back when they fix a thing. As an example, we might consider a CI/CD pipeline that fails to deploy in prod because a program is in use. There's frequently heroic efforts to resolve these issues. The real fix, though, is simply to rename the executable and all works well. That's the way it should have been in the first place. I'll do a video at a later date for those of you that are sitting there thinking, you can't do that.
Now, I know a lot of y'all are thinking, man, this guy is a dumbass. You can't access a file in use. To which I would say two things. Do you kiss your mother with that mouth? And also, yes, you most certainly can. You just have to be specific regarding what you are trying to do. Renaming executables while they are running is a practice that dates back at least 30 years in my experience alone, and it still works to this day.
Listen, everybody's going to screw up once in a while. It just happens. What we have to make sure of is that we don't continuously reward people for screwing up. And I know this sounds crazy. You're probably thinking, companies just don't do that. But it absolutely 100% happens. In fact, it happens so much that there's a name for it. Every time there is an incident investigation or war room, somebody screwed up. Fix the issue, make sure it doesn't happen again, and don't reward people for fixing their mistakes. That drives the wrong behavior. You are rewarding people for screwing up.
Let me rewind just a little bit there. I've been in corporate America for, let's just say decades. Never have liked the term war room. It seems at best insensitive and at worst disrespectful to those who have actually been in active combat, either as armed forces or worse, as civilians. I think we ought to retire that term.
I totally get it, though. When we come together to fix a thing, man, there's a rush. Like, oh yeah, we're awesome. More awesome is the environment where war rooms are a scarcity because we fix things before they are a problem. I'm going to drop a link in the description. Actually, I'm going to drop two links. One is this Wikipedia link you see here. The other is simply a pre-existing article about firefighter arson written by someone in the software development field. We'll talk shortly in our wrap-up video on this.